Hey everybody, welcome to the Everything Paranormal Show. I'm your host, Josh Morris, and today we're going to be talking about urban legends. That's right, urban legends. Scary stuff. Not the urban legends like, somebody did something epic and it was funny. We're not talking about comical ones. We're talking about scary urban legends, because this is a paranormal channel, right? We want to watch scary stuff. So just keep that in mind. Today we're going to be talking about that. And remember, this is the show where you get to participate in. So if you're out there in the chat tonight, you pop in there. Hopefully you'll participate. It's good to see I've already got Terry Lynn, and she sees Kylo. She sees my background. That's awesome. Well, guess what? Let's take the show into the woods, shall we? Where is this at here? There we go. That's better. Yes, there. We got some ambience now. Hey, this is a live show. Things happen. So that's awesome. All right. There's Terry Lynn, and Lisa is here also. Thank you. I'm glad you could be here. And remember, like I said, y'all can participate through the show. So let's talk about urban legends today. This is cool stuff. So what is an urban legend? Well, basically, it's a tale of various like magnitude that circulates like a truth. But usually, especially if it's like happens to like a friend or a family member, and then often with horrifying results. But what that means in a nutshell is rumors, gossip, right? This is like the town gossip. This happens, it started back years and years and hundreds of years ago. But something will happen, an event will happen, it'll get blown out of proportion, and next thing you know, you got an urban legend. That's typically how it goes. So there is some pretty cool ones out there, and what's really weird is, like, look, I'm not going to lie. There is some urban legends out there that, even though I'm a paranormal investigator, right? I mean, there's just some out there that I just can't seem to bring myself to do. Even though they're stupid, hey, I see me popped in there. Good to see you. Good. So we got a few different people in here. Awesome. Hopefully you guys will all participate in this. So urban legends, if you guys have heard any crazy ones out there. Also, my background is a real location that's near me, so hope you enjoy that. So urban legends, I will say that couple words quite a bit tonight. Rats in the toilet, for example, right? So rats in the toilet, this is an example of an urban legend, how rats come up there, and this has been something that circulates all over, right? Another urban legend that you guys may have heard that surfaces, right? The infamous alligators in the sewers of New York, right? These are always scary and entertaining. Now, sometimes the urban legends can actually even come from modern day stuff. So a good example of that is, of course, Slender Man. Right? So for those of you that might not know Slender Man, this was a video game that was created, but then it actually took a life of its own and created some urban legend. And I mean, when you have something as vague as like this faceless, like, person in the woods that can kill you, that definitely is an urban legend that you can just take anywhere. So that's a one of those type of things. So with that being said, Bloody Mary, yes. So my wife Terry Lynn said Bloody Mary, and that is a huge classic, right? Classic urban legend. So like a lot of kids that can, I think for me that might even have been one of my first actual urban legends that I can think back to. I mean, I think it went all the way back to, I think, elementary school, I want to think. And I think I remember one of the kids, and if anybody from my old elementary school days is watching, maybe you can remember, I think there was like one kid that they did Bloody Mary in the bathroom or something with the lights off, and I don't know, it was like a thing. I can remember it being a thing. So, rat teeth, yeah. So, but Bloody Mary definitely is a... Now, Bloody Mary, there's all kinds of variations, okay? Now, supposedly, if you have a mirror in a candlelit room and you chant Bloody Mary's name a set number of times, some say it's 13. I think I remember at one point there was like something about spinning around in circles with your eyes closed and saying her name 3 times maybe. I think it just depends on where you were from, what part of what part of the country you might have been from, like your version that you heard. And I know, like my wife, she was talking about how her and her sisters did it, and looked in a marble. That's, yeah. See, and there's all kinds of different variations. That's what makes it cool. And so, if any of y'all else out there have ever done, Bloody Mary, right? Because at some point, especially when you're younger, you try to do it. You get the gumption to do it, right? So again, I don't know why it is, but like, I don't think I would do it. I know that there's kids out there that probably would do it and do a YouTube video and, like, oh, look at me. And I'm sure it's there. But in all honesty, it's like, I just don't want to like jinx myself or whatever. You know what I mean? So Bloody Mary, so ICU See Me says, this is the first time I've heard of it. Yeah, this is a Bloody Mary's been a huge legend. It could be, maybe you've heard of Hail Mary or Mary Worth, legend. Those were also some popular names for the folklore. But Bloody Mary's, that was typically a very common, urban legend involving a mirror, a dimly lit room, or even the lights off sometimes, chanting your name repeatedly a set number of times, and then either opening your eyes or looking in the mirror. And then there's all kinds of versions too. Sometimes a friendly Mary, apparently, or Bloody Mary, one that makes you jump, one that, there's just whatever you can imagine what it could be. It's probably a version out there. So again, there's a variety of versions of Bloody Mary out there. So again, urban legends, who knows where that actually stemmed from? I'm not sure if I really know the full history on where that came from. It's probably something that, again, somebody made up somewhere along the way, and it became a popular thing for kids to do. Let's see. Yeah, I See You See Me says, yeah, that's the first time I heard. My wife says, Candyman scared the crap out of me. I still won't say any of them. Don't need to test it. All types of kids on YouTube are doing it. Very careless. And that's true. We're going to definitely get into some more of that point later. But speaking of Candyman, yes, that's right, Candyman. That is a huge urban legend that stemmed from the movies, right? Or did it? Actually, Candyman, it came out in 1992. For those of you that may not have watched this horror film type thing, it was released from Clive Barker. And it was really about the gentleman you see on the screen who was pretty much like from the late 1800s, like I think like 1890 or something, and he was killed for basically having a relationship with a white woman. Well, of course, this is actually a take on another actual true urban legend where the urban legend actually stems from, and again, this is all, like I said, Hollywood taking things to a whole new level. So I See You See Me, your age is going to show. We're talking about Candyman and reminding you of the old song. But, okay. So Candyman, you know, like in the movie, she had that apartment and, you know, there was like in the walls and like she went like in the walls and stuff. Anyways, the actual urban legend, there's some truth to this to a point. In 1987, Ruth McCoy actually called 911 like frantically and was being attacked. And when the police finally showed up, she was actually shot to death. But what they found out was that the way her apartment was set up and the medicine cabinet, there was holes, like they entered through the medicine cabinet. Because of the way the holes were in the walls, they could actually access inside the walls. So burglars were coming in there and accessing it. So it was kind of a frightening notion for people at the time as well. So again, this is where the movie sort of stemmed with the stuff, you know, evil behind the walls and leading to death. And, you know, like I said, and then there was this whole thing. So, but Candyman was definitely very scary. It was back in the day, man. I told you I'm not a big horror movie fan. I don't know, I just don't like to be made to jump, but of course, you know, my wife loves when I jump. But anyways, but like horror movies, this also, I'll kind of segue and talk a little bit about this. But horror movies and they can inspire and be from many urban legends. Not only will they inspire more legends, see, because now, let me just backtrack also, but the Candyman, for example, one of the things I wanted to kind of cover there as well, if I want to go back to it, is the mirror. You know, there was a whole thing with saying Candyman's name multiple times. Well, again, this sparked an additional urban legend off of that urban legend. And so now people will stand there, and some people can't say it. I don't want to say it. I don't even like saying his name. So I'm not going to say his name anymore, and we're going to move on to other movies. So other movies can inspire urban legends, even if they're from urban legends themselves. They can create additional ones. So that's pretty crazy. Now, another urban legend is going to be Cropsey. Cropsey, for those of you that may not be from or near the Staten Island, Cropsey is another urban legend example of that. He was like a boogeyman for the Staten Island area, for the woods, and that he was basically the Cropsey boogeyman lived in the woods, and children would enter the woods and they would get disemboweled. Okay, pretty crazy. Well, this actually had some truth behind it. Yes. Now, maybe not so much the disemboweling, but there was a case in 1987. Andre Rand was actually convicted for child abduction, and then there was I guess from the evidence and everything, they were like, well, we think there was a bunch of other child abductions right in that same area. So they were like, hey, we're pretty sure he probably did all of those, but he never confessed to it. So again, that when they found out there was somebody abducting kids in the woods, and this all took shape and blew out of proportion and became another urban legend there. So now you have Cropsey in Staten Island as another urban legend out there. So these are just some specific examples I wanted to talk tonight about. But I want to also kind of cover a little bit about the how is there any truth behind, or actually can urban legends actually cause any type of real life paranormal? So other than Terry Lynn now getting on the tangent of Candyman, so I'm not even going to try to sing that, because I know the song, and I don't want to. It's already kind of like stuck in my head mentally as I'm trying to do my show. So thanks for that, for I See You See Me and my wife. talking about a catchy old song that's now stuck in my head. So talking about this urban legends and scary mystery, and we're talking about the Candyman. Yeah, okay, all right. So, so yeah, that's how it goes. That's how we do it here on the live show, folks. Okay, so one thing I want to cover is it possible that an urban legend, could that really happen? I mean, could you, if you are one of those brave souls that goes there and let's just say you're open-minded to paranormal and you're wanting experiences and you're provoking, okay? That's not a good thing. But let's say you're one of those people and you're going to provoke. So if you go stand in front of the mirror and not sing Candyman, but let's say you do like Bloody Mary or something, right? Well, the thing is, though, is some could argue that, yes, nothing will happen. But there's theoretically, because we all do, in theory, we have psychokinetic energy, right? PKE. We all emit this energy at different levels. Sometimes it's heightened, especially during stress and drama, pre-teenagers. This leads to possibly poltergeist activity. So I would say it's possible. I'm not saying it would happen, but it's possible that you could go and you could be summoning things. So think about it like this. If you have spirits or even evil spirits that are hanging around and you go in the bathroom and you start chanting for Bloody Mary or Candyman or something like that, and you're putting that psychokinetic energy out there into their spirit realm, then yeah, you might not invoke Bloody Mary, but you may invoke some other evil spirit to mess with you. So in theory, can urban legends be harmful or be true? I think yes. I would go and say yes. I think these, what could be just ghost stories around the fire, they could possibly come back and mess with you. So Terry Lynn says, "Hey Josh, don't blame me. You wanted me to chat. Laugh out loud. I'm chatting." Well, yeah, because you're my right hand man, or well, not man. You're my right hand woman. So I need you sometimes. So, and we got BRS Media. Hey brother, what's up? What's going on, Rich? So, Rich, who was on the show last week, and yes, I will give you a free plug because that's just how we roll. But yeah, folks, if you didn't watch the Area 51 show last week, go check it out. That's pretty cool. It was about storming Area 51. I had guest Rich Wheeler on there from BRS Media, who does The Big Show and the Conspiracy Corner Show. So yeah, we have, let's see, I See You See Me says, "I don't want to provoke if it shows itself fine, as long as it stays out of my bedroom and shower. I don't care." Yeah, I mean, it's always creepy to think about anything like that in the bedrooms and showers. Like, hey, ghost, just don't watch me. So don't look at me. Don't look at my body. Especially don't look at my body. Yeah, I've kind of let myself go over the years here. Don't look at my body. I don't even like to look at them. I just cover up the mirror. I don't even like to look at mirrors. I think we should just get rid of them. But yeah. And Rich says thank you, and he had a great time. Everyone loved the show. Yeah, I mean, it was a good time, and I had a great time. Hopefully, we'll be filming our show. I'm scheduled to be on his show soon, so you guys are going to have to check out BRS Media and see when we're going to have our show as well. So hopefully that'll be a lot of fun coming up as we get into Halloween season. So Halloween season, that's pretty awesome stuff, right? So I See You See Me talked about the Blair Witch Project she thought it was a true story. You know, I gotta say, let's talk about it. That's what we're here for. So, the Blair Witch Project. Now, listen, I gotta say, those kids were geniuses. People can make fun of them all you want. But let's face it, what they did was brilliant. They made a film all about like an urban legend, and just like all of us, they wanted to go experience it and track it down in the woods. And of course, things eventually led to another, and it was perfect. It was right in the time when all the paranormal reality shows were going off, and it just was perfect. And then what they did when they staged that website and they made it look like the film that you're watching was pieced together evidence that was recovered from police that never found the bodies or whatever, and they just found the film and they patched it together and they put it out there for this movie. And we thought we were watching the downfall of these kids, and we're just like, oh my god, it was crazy. So yes, the Blair Witch Project at the time when it came out. Now look, if you're one of those people that you came out of the movies, or if you cheated somehow and you found out it was fake before you went to the movies, I could see where once you kind of know it's not real, it is harder for me to watch it at that point. But myself, like many other people, was truly faked by that setup that they had. So, and I think a lot of people were. That's why the movie was as successful it was, and is part of our film, I guess, history now, as that particular example of, because it was unique. It was a unique thing. And then of course you started having some copycats, Paranormal Activity, and then everybody wanted to do like this realistic style movie, and didn't always quite take off, but yeah, Blair Witch is definitely the original. So I was right there with you. All right. So speaking of mirrors, it's always been said to be a gateway. Yes, there's a lot of people that believe that mirrors are gateways, or you can peer into other dimensions. And there's also, and to be fair, there is scientists that will say, and I can't remember this guy's name, and I didn't really care because and there's this one guy that did a study on it, and he basically was saying that if you stare at a dimly lit, or a mirror in a dimly lit room, then there's some kind of effect that can start happening, I guess mentally, where your face can appear to melt or contort, things like that, So I don't know, but they were trying to debunk it, like most scientists do. They try to debunk the effects and everything. So I mean, that's interesting. I just had to, at least in all fairness, mention that as well. But yes, there's people that do believe that mirrors are gateways and things like that. I don't know. I don't know how to feel about mirrors. I mean, I think I've never truly, I've thought about it. It was kind of cool to think about that, especially like with Alice in Wonderland and different effects like that of looking into the mirror and saying, what if that was somehow another parallel universe or another dimension? I don't know. I mean, it's always an interesting thought to ponder on. I don't know. I think it's, when you look at the mirror and you look back at yourself, yes, of course, Hollywood has made us scared that there's going to be something behind us now, or the classic shut the medicine cabinet, and then there's something behind us. Like, oh, nothing there, and then open up the cabinet, shut it, oh, of course, now they're getting smart. They're like, shut it, nothing there, oh, hey, turn, oh, bam, they get you. Or now they're always trying to find ways to get you. at the places you think it's going to be. And they're like, no, it's not going to be at the cabinet. No, it's not going to be when they turn. And then they're going to go down the stairs. No, it's not going to be there either. And all of a sudden, boom, they get you. Like, they're having to get really sneaky on their jump scares. So that's always pretty cool. Let's see. Oh, excuse me. So, yeah, that shaky camera made it real. Yeah, I thought it was a camera diary of sorts. My face isn't scared enough to do that yet. Maybe when I get more lines and wrinkles. BRS Media, laugh out loud. It's scarier in movies when there's nothing behind you that doesn't show in the mirror. Well, and that's what I'm saying. You know, when a lot of times they're getting smarter about it, because of course the classic was they just did these quick jump scares back in the day, right? And boom, and it would get you. And they're like, and then after a while, it just became a thing. And people were like, it's going to be in the mirror, watch. And then, you know, and I can't remember. I'm sure people could, there was about that time frame when certain movies just didn't do well because they started becoming too predictable. So you had that kind of slump. But then we always get those groundbreaking movies every once in a while that come out and they do things a little different. And that's when people are like, oh, that movie actually got me because it was different. I'll tell you, since we're talking about scary movies, if anybody's seen Jeepers Creepers. Now, Jeepers Creepers, I'm not like, I don't know. I mean, there was definitely some parts I think I was a little scared at. I'm not going to lie. But for me, there's certain cinematography moments that put me on edge. And for me, it was when that kid was looking down the well. Okay? When there was like that shaft and he was looking down there. There was just this moment, and they kept on with it. And that whole moment of down in the well, and I think when the kid was down there, it was like really tense. Like really, I was just scared and tense for that moment. And even though nothing ended up happening at that moment, or in those moments, the music and the way they filmed it, everything was so tense for me. I mean, there's things like that stick in your mind. And I could probably go through all kinds of different movies. Yeah, Terry Lynn, I made you watch it. Yeah, see, she makes me watch all the scary movies pretty much. I mean, if it's a scary movie and I've watched it, most likely she made me watch it. All right. I just don't like to be made to jump. I don't like it. But apparently she likes to watch me react to those things. So if y'all seen my scary game stuff, you can go check out my Dad Mafia channel. I've got on Dad Mafia Gaming, I've got my Dad Mafia YouTube channel. I think there's links, there'll be links in most of my videos. It's not a huge channel. I haven't done a whole lot with it. It's just every once in a while when I play some games, I put it on there usually. But if you guys seen any of the scary games that I do on Dad Mafia, you'll know what I'm talking about. And she likes to watch me react to those. So I'd rather play fun games and just have a good time. But no. Sadly, my wife likes to see me suffer through lots of pain and scary stuff. So Stanley Kubrick made some good scaries. That's true. I mean, of course, The Shining was always great. The combination of the Stephen King story and then Stanley Kubrick doing the movie. There was definitely some moments in that, and I think the what's cool about some of that is that the scare was not so much jump scares or in your face. A lot of it was very psychological fear. I mean, the things that we feared, and also it's the time frames too. I mean, nowadays, if people were to maybe watch that particular style of movie in a modern take or something, I'm not sure if people would fully fear that type of stuff, because they just, again, the way that we think as a society sometimes affects like how we are desensitized or whatnot to certain things. But But yeah, the Shining, based on an urban legend. Well, I mean, I know Stephen King wrote it at that hotel, or you know, he was inspired by certain things. I mean, Stephen King sometimes he writes. He's not like a traditional writer. He writes really just from like one idea, and all of a sudden just be like, all right, look, I like this idea, and then he'll just other things will stem from it, and I don't know. I mean, it's pretty interesting if you ever watch him do any kind of lectures to some of the college kids and stuff. He's different. He's just laid back, and he's a pretty humble guy, and the way he talks about it, everybody thinks like, oh, what's your process? How do you write all your scary stuff and all this stuff? And he really just does it. He doesn't, you know, he also does it from like nightmares he may have. I think one time he talked about one of his books was inspired just from like some lady get into an argument or fight at McDonald's, and then just the way things happened, it's like it just kind of started spawning some different ideas of how people react to stuff and things like that. So again, it's, you know, it's really cool how some people do that, but I really don't care how he does the scary stuff. I just let him stick to that. Now, the movie It, you know, for me was the movie It was scary back then. You know, I haven't seen the remake yet. I don't want to. I'm sure we got Halloween season around the corner, so I'm sure I'm going to be forced to watch a few different scary movies this year. I'm not looking forward to that, but I'm sure it's going to happen. That's all I can say about that. Terry Lynn's going to know. But yes, it back then was very scary at the time. You know, rewatching it, I think when we watched some of the scary parts, nowadays, you know, of course, it's a little different. But you know, it was a scary movie for back then. Now VR games, yeah. See what's so cool? We're talking about urban legends, and it does go hand in hand with scary movies, because so many things. The Texas Chainsaw Massacre, right? That was based on some urban legends. I mean, there's so many movies that will take. And a lot of times, like, oh, that really happened, or that was a. Sometimes, you know, it might not be as. Just like when we're talking about Cropsey, the boogeyman in Staten Island, it's like that guy wasn't disemboweling children out in the woods, but he was abducting a child or some children. But again, things grew out of proportion. So, like I said, typically you're going to have something like that. You'll have the woods. Now, urban legends. Another thing that is with the local towns, like, think about it. All you watching live and all you watching this video in the future, think about where you live. You know, you probably have, if not one, at least, you probably have several urban legends. I mean, there's usually some kind of bridge, some kind of tunnel maybe, or if you're in the mountains, like a holler, or you know, or some kind of woods, or a cornfield, or a certain house on a street, or a certain old rundown building, a certain part of the woods. There's urban legends for in every town, pretty much. Okay, somewhere someone's got a scary urban legend, or an old section of town that was a battlefield, and there's old Civil War soldiers or whatever. There is some type of urban legends pretty much in every town. So it's definitely interesting. And like I said, and a lot of times there's going to be some truth to it, and then, you know, and then kids find a way to scare each other with it. And that's what really, like Bloody Mary and things like that. Like, oh, go stand in the mirror and say her name. I heard if you do this. And they're making games, of course, about urban legends. And even like there was one, what was it, the Midnight Man, I think, something like that, where it's like you have to go through this ritual thing on the video game, and then things happen and whatever. But that the point is like they're even making games where you actually have to do like urban legend rituals to do these things. So again, I don't want to test fate in real life. Just like I explained earlier, I do think that you can put the psychokinetic energy out there, and I think spirits and like evil spirits can feed off that, or malicious or negative entities, whatever you want to, however you want to view it. The ones that want to mess with you, they're going to take that energy and utilize it, you know. So I see me says also yeah, a lot of stuff happened here in Utah. Everywhere I lived growing up, kids always talked about a local haunted house. Oh yeah, I mean the haunted houses are like always the big legend, always. And if they're older houses, they're always haunted, right? We always have some kind of spirit or something in the old houses. If it's run down at all, if it's abandoned, you know, if supposedly somebody died, and that's the thing is like, oh, did you hear about that house? So and so died. Like, oh, they killed themselves. I mean, we have houses where, yeah, a guy right up the road, suicide by cop. You know, unfortunately, it was tragic. It was an older gentleman, and he just wanted to end his life. You know, he wanted to, you know. So now the house is not sold yet. It's been sitting around forever, and of course, there's going to be urban legends about that already. You know, and is it haunted? Is his ghost still there? And you know, there's always going to be those type of things out there. So it's definitely interesting. So, you know, we kind of know where they come from, which is just going to be your gossip. Nothing like grandma's death tour, you know, and that's funny because my wife always talks about my grandma's death tour, which is like when we went up and stayed in Michigan for a little bit. You know, my grandma would drive us around sometimes, and of course, you know, I grew up with it, but she would point out her little things along the way. Instead of saying things like, oh, look at this neighborhood was built, you know, shortly after, you know, we got married, like my husband and I, and you know, and the railroad, you know, used to come through here and all this stuff, you know. Instead of like these cool little historical facts, my grandma's got to have like this death tour. She's always like, we're driving and she's like, yeah, this is where that girl was killed by that train coming through here, and like, oh, up here, yeah, that's when that guy murdered his family a long time ago, and blah blah. And she'll just do it. Or this is where they had that big accident, and there was like 5 vehicles that caught on fire, and 1,700 people died. And I don't know. So it's my grandma's death tour, and I think a lot of people probably are like that too, because think about it, we tend to remember a lot more of the tragic stuff, like, oh my God, that house over there, yeah, that's where that boy died, you know, he killed himself over that girl, and we tend to remember those things. And don't let my wife fool you, she's starting to do a lot of death tour herself. You know, she's starting to do that a lot too. Like, oh my God, Josh, remember this when that, you know, the guy. It's hard not to. That's the drama. That's the stuff that we remember. The tragic stuff, unfortunately. You know, so she's like, hey, hush that, stop it. Anyways, but yeah, there's but yeah, the urban legends are. Again, it's very interesting to hear all the different ones. I wanted to do a show out there, and I'm gonna throw this out in the universe, because I'm pretty sure one of the channels may someday watch this video, and they're gonna be like, hey, I think he did send us a email and propose a long time ago. I pitched a show about long time ago going to all the different little cities and exploring these urban legends, you know, like the big urban legends, and then doing investigations there, and you know, trying to hunt and, you know, find these truths to these urban legends. So if there's shows out there, I can't remember what all shows that came out, but I know that some of them came out and were like similar, and I was like, man, I bet they probably just took my idea and rebranded it and said screw it, you know. So but yeah, Rich said, yeah, that would be legit. Well, and that is something that I plan on doing is, you know, once, you know, my family and I become mobile someday and we are out touring with tennis and things like that, you know, we're going to hit up some haunted, you know, or some local urban legend type stuff, and we'll check out some of that stuff, you know, and definitely vlog and record and make some shows about it. So you guys will have to definitely keep up with that. But I would do that too if I knew more history of this place. Well, yeah, and sometimes that's the thing, is you just have to go out there and you've got to ask and you got to start digging around. A lot of times, like I said, if you don't ask, people won't talk about it. But what I found is there's so many people out there that, because paranormal is a little taboo in sort of a normal conversation, it's like if you ask or you bring it up, all of a sudden people are like, oh yeah, there's this ghost story back then, you know what I mean? And people will talk about it. They don't always bring it up, but a lot of times if you're like, you know, sometimes the way I do it is I'll make a joke like, oh, maybe it's a ghost, you know, or, you know, if I'm fixing their cable or internet and they're like, oh, yeah, this just keeps going off and on and I don't know what's going on, I'll say, well, maybe it's a ghost. And so sometimes that'll open it up into a conversation. So yeah, my wife is asking if Rich is going to go to September 20th for Storm Area 51, which is a good show. Check it out last week. That was a good episode. So go watch it. But no, I would go just to film. I would probably go there, rent some kind of four-wheel vehicle, SUV, which I'm sure they'll be out. I would go just because so many other people are going. I would almost want to go. But in all honesty, I know it's really not going to be, you know, worth it for me to probably spend all that money and do all that. So yeah, so he's going to watch from afar. Yeah, we got the aliens, you know, and I don't even want to get into aliens, but you know, we'll talk briefly about this. There is folklore regarding aliens. Now, if any remember back, I want to say it was probably early 90s, but there was a show about one of the real famous alien abductions, Fire in the Sky, right? And there was one of the guys that got taken up, and it's real. But I think they did a pretty good job on the movie. So if you haven't watched it, you know, definitely check it out. It was a mainstream movie, Fire in the Sky. But even things like that become an urban legend because, again, I'm sure around that town, I almost guarantee people are like, yeah, that's when so and so got abducted by, and that becomes in itself an urban legend. So technically it is paranormal. So even aliens will have their own urban legends. Not all urban legends are scary, like I said before, but we're talking about the creepy ones or the paranormal ones. So basically though, I'm gonna start wrapping up here in a little bit. I do want to talk about some upcoming things. Again, one, keep an eye out for me to be on Rich's show. So check out BRS Media for that. So I'll be making an appearance there. Also, if you guys want any kind of autographs, you can see me regularly. I will be appearing anywhere throughout Bristol, Virginia, as I work. Okay, that's a joke. And if there's any sponsors that would like to sponsor me for any videos, I can talk about your product and see how awesome it is. Look at this. Look how awesome this product. You should buy this. Seriously, you should buy this product, whatever it is. Insert sponsor here. All right, I can sell it for you. That's a nice product. Yes, buy it. Anyways, but I'm just having fun tonight, man. You guys are awesome. I appreciate you all showing up tonight and having a great chat. You guys have really been awesome to me in the chat tonight. Next week we got a really cool show lined up. I'm not gonna spoil it for you, but you'll have to come check it out. All right, so if you guys have any questions, again, feel free to please also participate in the Facebook group. Share my media. Get some of your friends and family. Let's continue to grow. All right, you guys, I'd love to just be able to one day just do nothing but chat. That would be so cool, just to have a show and talk with you guys and talk about paranormal and theorizing and all that stuff. So maybe I'll give you a hint on the show on Facebook soon, but coming up, and I'll let you know what we got coming up. But I actually got some more live backgrounds I recorded. I'm pretty excited. I went and I even filmed one in an old basement in a home that's over 100 years old. So we'll have some pretty cool backgrounds. Like I said, this background here, this was in on the side of a mountain that had a junk pile. It was kind of creepy and just, I don't know, just had these vibes to it. So I just thought it'd be cool to record it and add it to the show. But again, you guys are awesome, and I appreciate everything that you guys do for me. And if you like what you see, just continue watching, keep coming back, hit like, hit subscribe, hit all that good stuff, guys. We'll see you later.